Arriving at this property is really quite beautiful. You descend down the hillside through the bush on a gravel drive that winds down to find the house. The reveal of the house itself is something that we consciously worked with, aligning the point of arrival so that you could see the roof form and the house itself nested into the contour. Say what you will. And that you were then invited further down the site, purposefully seeking to create a sense of calmness and connection to the land, and using the gardens and the surrounding spaces to unlock the lifestyle of living in this part of the rural countryside. I'm Fearon of Fearon Hay, and together with Tim Hay, we're the design architects for Matakana Inlet House. So Matakana itself is a small town just north of Auckland, and this particular site was quite distinctive because as it does have a view over the Matakana River, but one of its major assets is the bush that surrounds the house site itself and creates the clearing in the established bush, which gives it a very unique sense of quiet and calmness. Tell me you found a way. The siting of the building was very particular. We wanted to work with the slope so that you felt that the building itself could flow into the hillside on the north and behind the house as the living space gives way to the outdoor courtyard, but also at that same level feel like you were perched just above the topography as it flows down to the water's edge. The initial vision was one purposely keeping the format of the house quite concise. They didn't want a large sprawling occupation of the site, and so we were working quite quickly how to achieve the spaces within the project within a very simple contained rectangular form. The entry's positioned in the middle of the floor plate. You enter from the north side as you've arrived and approached the house from down on the hill. You enter into a double height volume, and it's purposefully a widened space that all of the private spaces are accessed from. It basically divides the program into two simple areas. We've got sleeping and bathroom spaces are all on one end of the plan, and then enter into the living room, which occupies the rest of the double height volume and the end of the house. From this point, you can walk around the freestanding kitchen. The living spaces are flanked on both sides by outdoor spaces. So we have to the north, set slightly into the hill, is the main outdoor living courtyard, which is protected from the elements by the house itself, but can see through the glazed enclosure to take in the views further down the site. On the other side of the living room, we have a covered west-facing outdoor living space, more of a sort of veranda that frames the view to the inlet. The interior materials are very much part of the architecture. We were looking for something that had a sense of warmth and always wanted to work with timber on the floor. But when we were looking to develop the overall palette, we worked with the client and talked to them about the sense of almost a homogeneous material palette, the whole space feeling like it had been carved out of one particular material. The oak flooring and cabinetry and ceiling and wall linings give you a very consistent and homogeneous feel for the space itself. And they also have a sense of warmth and tactility that is directly complements the exterior palette of slightly tougher materials. So we collaborated with Andy Hamilton for the gardens and the client themselves, and I think while the house is quite a simple form and is set into the hill to create a sense of engagement, varied and organic, and they consciously look to engage with that sense of being in the countryside and in the rural environment and complement the existing bush that surrounds the house site itself. I have been here with the homeowners and friends after the house has been completed, And the thing that stands out most about the way that the house feels when it's occupied is it's very calm. It has a serenity to the way that it sits on the land and the way that it engages with the bird life and the bush around the property that is immediately relaxing and gives you a sense of peace being here.